started before the winner was known, and it was really about the bigger picture here. It wasn't about protesting one candidate or another. It was really about this downhill course that we've been on for decades. And I think it's so important, if people get locked into protesting Trump, it's so important to remember, why did Trump get elected, Most people who voted for Donald Trump were actually voting against Hillary Clinton, and this was brought out in poll after poll. So this is a bipartisan failure after people have been thrown under the bus in every way imaginable for decades. On jobs, on wages, on a generation locked in debt, on immigrants who have been deported, for God's sakes, 3 million under Barack Obama himself, the same number that Donald Trump is talking about deporting. Black lives that are on the firing line, women in the LGBT community that are struggling for security and safety and rights, and wars that are blowing back at us with a vengeance while they devour half of our discretionary budget, survivable, and a climate that is in meltdown. So what's wrong with this picture? We just had an election in which people were screaming for other voices and other choices, in which we had the two most disliked, untrusted candidates in our history. 76% of people were saying, let's open up the darn debates. And of course, the Democratic and Republican Debate Commission exists for the purpose of limiting debate and dialogue. So a toxic election that has had a very toxic result. 80% of people, according to the New York Times, said that they were disgusted by the election. Even before the spring, during the election, there was another poll, this AP North poll, that showed about 90% of Americans had lost confidence in our system, in our political parties, in the executive, in the Congress, you name it. This is the age of loss of trust and betrayal, I think you could say. And that's why we're here. And if we just focus on Donald Trump alone, we're missing the boat because the Democrats brought us here. In fact, the Huffington Post just ran an article today about how, the new DNC is not such a new DNC, and that this debate that was held among the contenders for the head of the DNC are sort of steering clear of, taking radical moves like getting big money out of the DNC or lobbyists out of the DNC. So kind of same old, same old. And what happened to Bernie Sanders wasn't new. Dennis Kucinich, Jesse Jackson, the realignment campaign of the 1960s, which was an effort to bring the Democratic Party into sort of the world of a social democratic agenda. And people are being dragged back in with this great white hope of one form or another that, it's going to be different this time. But we're out of time. And that's what when you're looking at the climate, the next question, the economy, lives that are being literally wasted right now. And also, we just heard that 8 billionaires. It used to be 62 billionaires. Over the course of a year, it went from 62 to 8 billionaires. Because the rich are getting richer that much faster, while the poor are getting poorer. This is not what we're going to survive in. It's that it takes, Donald Trump, coming to power for us to be jolted into action here, into waking up that we've got a real crisis on our hands, and the only solution really is systematic reform, real deep system reform. We need a different kind of political system that will not be delivered by Democrats and Republicans who are both funded by predatory banks and fossil fuel giants and war profiteers. We are not going to fix this doing the same old. So, it really is about us coming together as social movements and coming together eventually, in a political movement. And, I personally am not spending too much time worrying about what is the name of that political movement. I work with the Green Party because it is the one national political movement right now, which serves as an umbrella. And It's not easy, believe me, to either create a national political party or to survive in this day and age of fear campaigns and smear campaigns, which have been going on a long time. We were founded at the same time that the Labor Party was. The Labor Party was absolutely wiped off the map. You know, peace and freedom, socialist parties used to be national in scope. Now they barely hang on, you know, in one city or another. I don't think peace and freedom has any elected officials right now. So, you know, this has been a war against independent politics, and we've seen recently in the, you know, in this panic to blame Hillary's loss on the Russians, you know, we've seen now third parties are being blamed. They couldn't come up with the evidence to show that the Russians did it, so instead now it's a propaganda campaign, and who is, you know, leading the charge here on this propaganda campaign? It's third parties. You know, so, at any rate, I'll stop there.
You
just
and
to
Nate
say,
or Jill and Nate or Ralph. And
what we're doing, I think what we're doing is really important, and it's getting bigger by the hour. So thank you so much to Occupy Inauguration for leading the charge.
Any questions from press, independent media, anyone? Questions.
Come on, real progressives. I got a question. Come on.
So good to be filming.
Come on.
Thank you.
Not for me. Come here.
Thank you for organizing this. And so, you know, I like Jill that you've stated that this is, you know, this is actually not about Donald Trump. This is, I mean, do you see this as sort of a launching point for the progressive movement going forward, taking the spotlight away from him and putting it on us, or, you know, how would you frame this to, you know, people who aren't part of this conversation yet?
So many people have come into the conversation because Donald Trump is an accelerated threat. You know, it's an intensified threat to everything. But I think it's really important as people come into this conversation that we help people look deeper and help people avoid getting a superficial answer that's just going to keep us flipping back and forth between Democrats and Republicans while the ship goes down.
Right.
So, you know, I think a lot of this is very focused on the immediate crises at hand. But what Occupy Inauguration allows us to do is to say, hey folks, you know, there's a deeper problem here, and if we're going to fix it, we can't just keep doing more of the same. That fundamentally when you have a political system which is sponsored by the 1%, it serves the 1%. And this is as true for Democrats as Republicans. And for myself, what I find is kind of the eye-opener for a lot of people is to remind them that people who voted for Donald Trump, for the majority, were not actually supporting Donald Trump. They were opposing Hillary Clinton. So we got to look deeper here. And also to pose the question, you know, is democracy served by the question, who do you hate the most?
Right.
It's not. You know, that kind of a toxic election will have a toxic outcome. We really need voting system reforms as well as economic reforms and human rights reforms and immigration reforms. We also need democracy reforms. I think people are really ready to hear that now, in my experience.
Okay.
So,
and as a follow-up question, if I may, so you also mentioned that you know, you represent the Green Party officially, of course, but you're, you know, willing to, you know, build a coalition with PIP and others. So that's very encouraging to hear. And, you know, maybe at this, so do you know, at this early stages of not just the resistance to Donald Trump, but to promote an actual alternative that's viable to mainstream people and voters. You know, how do we best capitalize upon, you know, this moment in these next 4 days coming up?
So just to clarify, I don't represent the Green Party now in any official capacity, just
Since
to
the
get that
campaign's
out. Yeah,
over.
I make
Yep.
green.
Thank you.
But the Green Party endorsed Occupy Inauguration because they understand the importance of this kind of coalition. And, you know, I think the issues kind of rise rise to the top here, and people are frightened and very upset. And I think the more we can inject a voice of sanity and reason and power into this, the better. And
a positive message.
extremely, yes. I mean, I personally feel very uplifted
Yeah.
that we are coming together here for what's happening in Occupy Inauguration, the forum that we're doing tomorrow night, the program the next day on the Green News Network, which is the so-called Inaugurate the Resistance. We're featuring lots of people from across the political spectrum who are all leading the charge in their communities. And for me, this is a really uplifting moment because the crisis is not new to most people. You know, most people are fighting that crisis in one way or another every day, especially younger people and women and people who are not in the 1% or the 10%. You know, everyday people, working people, students. Lives are in crisis right now, and for people to hear an empowering message, I find is really, for me, that's the first order of business, because that's where people engage. They don't engage on ideology, you know, as a matter of nature. You know, it's just, we don't talk about isms. It's really not where people's hearts are. You know, people's hearts are in our struggle for our communities and for our families and our future. And I think we distinguish ourselves as a coalition by speaking really honestly, you know, in the same way that the DNC debate couldn't really talk about what the issues are, we can.
Right.
And we can really go down deep and connect the dots here in a way that I think most people really appreciate. Whereas the political parties that are part of the system, they don't want to draw the real picture here because they don't want to shake the tree. You know, they're trying to stabilize the tree, you know, but this is a dying tree. We need a new tree, you know. We need a new tree. And I think by being the honest brokers that we are, not being on the payroll of a 1%er party, we can tell the truth and we can also organize. And we are out there organizing. You know, we are what this fight is about. And we will continue to do that.
Right.
And I think there are more and more people right now who've kind of lost patience with the old message.
Right. Well, yes. Speaking for myself, I'm very, like yourself, uplifted by just different people who have never met, coming together in DC and doing a lot of organizing. So, Araquel, if I may direct a question at you. I think, the word on the street is getting out about PIP, a nonpartisan, yet politically active organization. For the viewers out there who are maybe listening for, first hearing PIP, Progressive Movement Party, who are you willing to work with in terms of, official organizations? Are you supporting party platforms or policies or just issues, all of the above? What's important to PIP?
Well, we're Bernie Kratz by nature. So when we designed our platform, it was as broad as it could be and still be true to our vision.
Right.
Because we wanted it to be open enough that people could find shelter under the umbrella and find room. And I think the dialogue is important. As we developed the PIP idea, at first we were kind of naive and thought, we're going to ask everyone to merge into one big happy family. And of course, merging is not going to work. We have folks that have very strong political identities and they have an affinity towards them that they just won't give up. So when we started talking about more of a parliamentary system or coalition system where everybody can maintain their political identities, but be under this umbrella where we're securing 50-state ballot access, we're getting the resources together.
Did you? Are you on your way out?
He actually answered my question.
Yeah. So I just wanted to
give them a chance to ask a
Yeah.
question.
No, he asked my question.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
All right,
Wow,
Yeah.
good job. So I guess to answer your question, the way we, and this is my one of my co-founding members right here is Ray. We're a lot of just average Americans. At first people say, well, who are you? Who has endorsed you? And I was like, well, Ray Robinson of Kentucky, or Brittany. And we're just average Americans. We're average Democrats that, kind of see through all this and like, let's keep our movement going. So, Occupy Inauguration is an arm of that attempt. It's been a challenging and difficult arm to learn cooperation and what does that look like. And if you read our demands on our website, you'll see that it took us 2 months to make those simple listed demands because every steering member had to agree, our endorsing organizations had to read them, and we have to decide that we can still have unity with diversity.
Okay.
We have to accept the differences, and that's one of our downfalls on the left is, well, it's this or that or this or that. And we're saying no. We focus on that we can agree on, and uniting becomes so simple. We saw that in Standing Rock, gives me goosebumps, but we saw that in Standing Rock. We could all agree on treaty rights, indigenous rights, and clean water. And you saw the power. I mean, Republicans went to maybe protest for their first time. Veterans went. That's what we're aiming for, to represent the 99% and find the most common issues that we can unite on. So I think we can do it, but I'm a believer. I try to be optimistic, but that means putting your ego down and sometimes not getting your way. Right. And I'm not a politician, so that comes a little bit easier for me.
Okay.
But,
yeah. So as a follow-up and sort of to recap, you are working in very formal channels with many progressive organizations and some political parties. You have an official list of, shall we call them issues, or, okay. And so you describe some of the difficulties. So, I mean, at this stage of the development of, shall we call a movement, it's down to this, I sort of have this pyramid scheme of, foundation of issues, then you have some policy, and then you have a party platform. And so, for me, it's kind of a dietary food pyramid of political development. So we're laying down the foundation at this point. This is kind of what you're seeing at the ground level.
I think it's a structure issue.
Structure.
How does it work?
Right.
And I was even saying that at the DNC in Philly, is like everyone's running around looking for the revolution. Who has it? What's going to work? Well, it's us, and if we sit down and sharpen our pencil and sit down and craft it.
Sure.
We have to be smart, we have to be academic about it. We need to craft it, in a way that is, in a way that can work. The rhetoric is old for all of us on all sides. It's, PIP started 10 months ago with a petition to Jill Stein and Bernie Sanders and the Progressive Democrats of America and the Democratic Socialists of America. 10 months.
10 months.
It's not because of me, it's because it's an idea that's time has come.
Right.
And people are like, yes. They just feel, but it's not because of me, it's an idea whose time has come. And otherwise I don't think Jill Stein, who I voted for president, would be sitting next to me. Because we are authentic in our need to lift up the voices of the 99%. And it's an incredible inspiration to myself, the willingness of people to actually have the conversation. So I'm humbled and proud to be a part of it, honestly.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to reiterate, you brought it up again, taking out your own ego to move the whole platform forward is very important, and you take that personally, and that's how you, as one of the leaders at PIP, have been able to get a coalition together to agree on things, and other parts of the coalition have also followed suit, and taken down a notch in maybe the Curio level, or that's a very instructive observation. Sorry.
I have about 10 minutes.
I have a quick question. I've been organizing for a while, but I think a lot of folks here might be interested in this point, that we're at a point where, as I said in my opening comments, we're at a point of a burgeoning plutocracy, and a lot of people feel very alienated, whether they voted Green, or they voted for Hillary, or whether they voted for Trump. And I think Trump won in the end because he was not a Washington, and he is an insider, but he's not a Washington insider. And people want significant change, and a lot of the folks who voted for Trump are sort of the same economic space that we inhabit. And I think they have a lot of hopes in Trump. And now with these multimillionaires and billionaires on his cabinet populating his administration, I think a lot of their hopes are going to be dashed. So where do they go next? And how do you speak to people that have lost hope or will quickly be losing hope yet again in a few months to come? So how do you inspire people to get involved and remain hopeful?
So in my experience, it's as easy as it is to talk to them. And, this is why the media systematically silences opposition voices, and the voice of the 99% is because people are more than ready to revolt. People are already in revolt. There are 43 million young people who are locked into predatory student loan debt. That is enough to win a three-way presidential race. This is why they could not, under any circumstances, open up the debates, because to do so would be to risk losing it. Back in 2002, I was running for governor against Mitt Romney, and we fought our way into debates at that time, into a televised debate, because even back then, people were screaming against the system and the candidates that were being shoved down our throats. And so I was allowed into a debate, and it was in a TV studio, so there was no live audience, and I gave voice to the usual agenda, for healthcare as a human right and the right to a job, and teaching to the whole person, not to a test, and cutting the military budget, and greening energy. And it all went over like a lead balloon inside the TV studio, and I thought, oh well, we're the lunatic fringe. And I walked out and I got mobbed by the press, who told me that I had won the debate on the instant online viewer poll. And suddenly I saw, oh my God, there is this incredible disconnect between our political system and the dog and pony show that they insist on confining our public dialogue to, and the reality where the American people are. So, Trump's voters would have been Bernie's voters had Bernie been in the race, and the Democratic Party made sure that couldn't happen. They also lifted up Donald Trump and Ted Cruz and Carson. The lunatic Republicans helped launch them as viable and legitimate candidates, which is all the more evidence of how out of touch the Democratic Party is, and that it's over and done with. So, I think it's all about a strategy for outreach and for collaboration as social movements and as political parties. And I just want to mention that there has been an effort to bring progressive parties together for a while. It's called Left Elect. It's been in existence for a couple of years. It has a board. It has only had one conference, and it's due to have another one soon. And you may want to look at that, because it's not easy to reinvent the wheel here. It's hard enough to agree on an agenda for an event, but that ain't nothing compared to what it is to build an organization that's actually going to endure. And it makes all the sense in the world, I think, for us to be working together, and as we work together, then we'll figure out the name. And let's not get so invested in the name. Single payer went through a major, soul searching around their name, and it changed from single payer to Medicare for all. And it doesn't matter, because if you are fighting the people's fight, they are going to smear you. So it doesn't matter what the name is. You are going to be dragged through the mud if you are fighting on behalf of the 99%. You are going to be denigrated and fear campaigned and smear campaigned, and all the objections that are raised against the Green Party or the socialists are also going to be thrown up against PIP or anything else. It will all get tarnished. So I think it's really important to conserve the work that we've done and to build on that work and to find, just get about the business of building this movement as hard and fast as we possibly can. Its time is more than come. Thank you. And I'm going to have to leave. I have another interview shortly. If there's anything else
Just
people
a
need from
quick follow-up on what Pete said, this just sort of wraps it all up to me, is that there's definitely commonality of need amongst people. And it has little to do with our politics. If we stop and we think about it, what does everybody want? They want shelter, they want food, they want a good, clean life for their children, they want education, they want health care, regardless of any kind of political divide. But we still have people who cling to a lot of social craziness that on both sides, in the extremes. How do you think we can manage to reach across those great divides and bring people together on the commonalities, those issues that we see or understand as progressives are the important issues, but so many people are distracted by the minutiae? How do you think we can manage to do that? Because that's the way it works to get to the end result.
Yes, and we didn't get here by accident. This is what demagogues do. They're very good at playing on people's fears and playing people against each other and getting people to dig in and be enemies. And it's not easy to overcome that, but it's not impossible either. Remember, Donald Trump's support numbers are going way down. So there may be really impassionate and unhealthy people who are connected to this Trumpism and this rise of kind of right-wing extremism. It's not a healthy thing. But it is so much aggravated by the economic stress and insecurity and all that. And so people want to blame other people, when they feel like they don't have a job. So in my opinion, this melts away when you actually stand up for what it is that we all need. And, I think we can get there. And then I think that art and music has a huge role to play here in helping rebind us, as a society. So I think it's not rocket science, It's just having the resources, the time, the energy, and the commitment to follow this through. And the more organized we are, the more we can do this. I think it's really important to run for office locally, and to advance this agenda. It's important for us to not only resist locally, but to establish these so-called rebel communities where we're doing good things, and providing jobs and advocating to end student debt and lower tuitions and supporting public schools and creating a local income tax. There's just all kinds of things that we can also fight for at the local level. And if you're organized locally and you got a lot of people to get out and knock on doors with you, you can start to be a force and to win these races. Greens right now have somewhere over 100 people in local office.
I think it's close to 130.
I think so, yeah.
Around that.
Montgomery, Maryland, Montgomery County, Maryland, using 4 Dems because we voted in term limits. So this is the time for some independents and some good progressives and a decent green to jump in so we can get some varied voices. So our councils, our local councils, our local governments are colorful, so to speak, as opposed to being one side or the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Just an opinion.
It's a great time, and it means we gotta basically work our butts off because you're fighting hard to just survive, and now you also gotta fight to keep the ship afloat. But that's what we gotta do.
Do you see our ability? I've noticed very often on both sides, there's a lack of ability sometimes to be able or be willing to listen to opposing voices, truly opposing voices. We don't like them, we shut them down. You're wrong, I don't want to hear you. And yet isn't that the only way that we're going to ever be able to reach people, is to open ourselves to that, what feels like a disadvantage sometimes, and listen to someone who disagrees completely with us and hear what is underlying their pain first to approach it.
Absolutely, and I think that's important.
for the purpose of political organizing and acquiring power and winning political power and office. You know, the standard rules there are that you want to talk to the middle, and you want to talk to, in other words, you don't want to, the rules of thumb is you don't need to spend time talking to people who already agree with you, and you don't need to spend a lot of time talking to people who vehemently disagree with you, because you're going to lose a lot of time and energy there. But you want to talk to the people who didn't come out to vote, you know, and the people who feel like they're getting shafted and they're not coming out because they didn't know that there was someone standing up for them. And that, to my mind, is the priority. I think there's a lot of therapy to be done, and if you have time and energy to do therapy, that's really great. Political therapy, you know, cultural therapy, that's wonderful. God bless you, Gaia bless you, you know, whatever, bless you. If you have the patience and the energy to do that. But in terms of getting the biggest bang for your buck, it's going out and talking to people who don't have jobs, people who are, you know, felons who can't get a job and can't vote. It is, you know, it's students who are locked into debt. You know, it's people who feel like there is nobody there that's working for them. That's where the numbers are, and that's where the power is.
Poor seniors too.
Yes.
Lots of poor seniors.
Yes.
And they vote.
Yes.
Maybe poor, but they vote. And they're struggling. A lot of people forget them.
Absolutely. The thing about young people, though, is that they've already decided that the Democratic Party is not working for them, and a lot of older people are still fighting to, you know, kind of their religious belief in the party, so harder.
Yeah, I was going to say,
It's
Hillary
important.
Clinton didn't forget those elders. She's sending out, you know,
Well, I know
Yeah,
Jill needs to go.
absentee ballots.
You guys, if there was any response you had to those.
No, I'm good.
Thank you for leading the charge. I mean, it's really wonderful that you've been
And we'll
able
see you in
to
the morning,
stick it
too.
out. Absolutely. You know,
Great.
and then after that too. You know, I think we're, yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Saturday.
Dr.
I think
Stein,
we have a long, exciting future together.
I saw you at Arch Street Meeting House in Philadelphia
Oh,
this
yes.
past summer,
Yeah.
and you were good then, but you were better tonight.
It's better to be in a small one.
I'll tell you that we followed you through all of what went on in the DNC. We were there.
Oh, wow.
I was sitting right in front of you in the tent. And each time you spoke, it was so gratifying. We said, oh, each time Jill speaks, she's getting more brilliant. It's better. Because it was somehow, I don't know if it was the energy or everything was just coming together for you, but it really did. It's like each time you spoke, it got more concise and you got more into it. It was lovely.
It was really, it was almost like being in an altered state. You know, it felt like all of us were having this collective alternative reality. Yeah. And heat stroke, yes, maybe that was part of it. It put us in an altered state.
That's true. It was very strange.
It was strange and wonderful and heartbreaking.
It was.
And heartbreaking.
Living with a mutual friend at that time. She's been arrested with you at a bank one time, Sister Margaret McKenna.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yes, I was
Oh,
living
is
in her
she?
community at that time, and I had to move back to DC.
We went to jail together.
Yes, you did. She
Yeah,
told me
jail
stories
cell.
about that. Sister Margaret
She is such
she's
an
still kicking.
inspiration.
Oh, she came down the
Oh
other
my
day,
God, yeah.
earlier this week, for an anti-death penalty protest at the Supreme Court. I was there with her.
Oh my God.
And she loves you. Every time I mention
Oh,
your
and I
name,
love
she's like,
her.
oh, I love Jill.
You know, we walked into a jail cell. There, woke up, and she looked at me.
All right,
and she
everyone,
said,
this is Tatsu
Sister
Ikeda.
Margaret.
So we're at the Occupied. Actually, do you want to do the filming? Okay, Melanie's going to take the camera. This is Tatsu with Real Progressives. We were just with Araquel, Bloss, Daniel Curcio, and Jill Stein talking about just following after the peacekeeping meeting. So peacekeepers meeting. So they act as the guardians for tomorrow's rally and march. So we'll see more of Jill, Araquel, and Daniel tomorrow, as well as some of the other organizers here, Pete Terry, and Melanie and myself. So please stay tuned, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.